Hello. Today we're looking at the 2007 film, I Am Legend. The film starts with a news report about a doctor who has claimed to have cured cancer with a new drug. We cut to 3 years later and we're looking at New York City, completely destroyed and in ruins. We see a lone car driving through the city. Our lead Robert Neville drives alone with his dog Sam. He's upset as he has no one to slap. They're cut off by a bunch of wild deer nearly crashing the car. Robert heads off after the deer. He attempts to shoot one with his rifle, but loses sight of them. The deer all manage to escape through a barricade of cars. Sam doesn't appear happy. Robert heads off to Times Square, where he is tracking a deer. The deer is attacked by a lion which has somehow made its way to New York. His watch goes off signifying the sun is setting. While heading home we see a poster for Batman vs Superman, the scariest thing in this movie. Back home Robert sprays the steps with vinegar, masking their scent. There's an old news report recorded on the TV. Sam doesn't appear to be too fond of his dinner and I honestly don't blame him. Robert gives Sam a bath while listening to some music. Robert's alarm goes off again and he becomes entranced. He starts shuttering the windows and locking his place down. It's night and distant screams can be heard outside. Robert and Sam are sleeping in the bathtub. We get a flashback with Robert picking up his family as the city is in chaos. The city is being sealed off and he's trying to get his family out. The president has placed a military quarantine on New York City as an airborne virus has been released. They hit a man and Robert wakes up from his dream. Robert is doing half-ass pull-ups, not even going full range of motion. Robert heads down to his lab. He uses hand sanitizer, as he knows what's coming in 2020. He's conducting experiments on vampire rats, trying to cure them of the virus. Robert and Sam head out for another adventure. He begins talking to some mannequins as he's clearly started to lose his mind. They break into an apartment looking for supplies. He sends out a radio broadcast for any survivors who may need help. Robert hits some golf balls off a fighter jet with Sam watching. Sam becomes alerted to a deer in the distance. Robert and Sam head off after it. Sam heads off into a dark room and Robert yells for him not to. Robert heads in after him. A loud scream is heard frightening Robert. Robert finds a trail of blood and follows it. Robert flashes a bunch of vampires with his light and immediately regrets it. He finds Sam hiding under the desk, the poor pup. A vampire lunges at him. Robert has no choice but to shoot it. Alerting the other vampires, Robert and Sam must now flee the building. Robert jumps out a window with one on his back and the sunlight kills it. Robert traps one of the vampires and another one is none too pleased. Back at his lab he's performing experiments on the vampire. He injects it with a vaccine. The creature has a bad reaction to the vaccine and freaks out. The vaccine is unsuccessful. Robert is immune to the virus and trying to give his immunity to others. Another flashback to the night of the evacuation. Robert and his child are cleared, but his wife isn't given the same news. Robert forces the military to scan her again and she is cleared. His family gets in the helicopter and he's given Sam, who's still a puppy. Robert wakes from his dream and his alarm goes off. He's on the pier broadcasting again to any would-be survivors. While driving he sees a mannequin out of place. He drives over to it and starts freaking out, asking why he's there. Robert is losing his mind and starts randomly shooting. He steps into a trap and is knocked out and hung upside down. He awakes to his alarm going off and Sam barking. Frantically he starts cutting at the rope as the sun begins to set. He falls from the trap, landing on his knife. Slowly backing away from a building, a vampire releases some vampiric dogs after Robert. The only thing keeping him at bay being the small amount of remaining sunlight. Robert and Sam are attacked by the dogs and Sam is injured. Back at the lab Sam begins to turn and Robert unfortunately has to kill her. Robert is more alone now than ever. He starts having a mental breakdown while speaking to a mannequin. Robert sets a trap at night and proceeds to run over some of these vampires in his car. I'm not sure this plan was well thought out. A vampire is about to kill Robert. A blinding light scares him off and a woman enters his car. The woman asks Robert where he lives and Robert loses consciousness. A quick flashback shows fighter jets blowing up the bridges leading out of the city. Chaos begins erupting and a helicopter is brought down into the one Robert's family is aboard. Robert wakes from his nightmare. He finds a woman and a young boy in the kitchen. The woman is named Anna and the boy is Ethan. She tells Robert they waited at the pier like his message said. They're heading to Vermont to the survivors' colony. She claims the virus can't survive the cold. Robert doesn't want to leave. He believes he can still fix it. In the lab, Robert is continuing to experiment on the captured vampire. Putting Ethan to bed, Anna asks Robert the name of his daughter. He tells her he named his daughter after Bob Marley. Locking the place down, Anna asks Robert to come with them to the colony. She believes God brought her to Robert. Robert tells her everyone is dead and that there is no God. Distant screams can be heard as the vampires have followed them home. Robert sets off explosives around his home, killing some of the vampires. Upstairs, he checks on Anna and Ethan, noticing they're missing. Robert is attacked by one of the vampires. He fires a rifle at it as it flees. Robert runs upstairs looking for Anna and finds one of the monsters breaking through the ceiling. He finds Anna and Ethan and motions for them to keep quiet. Robert grabs a gun, killing the creature. More of these vampires show up and Robert tells them to head to the lab. Down in the lab, they find his cure is working on the captured vampire. The vampires reach the basement lab and start ramming the glass barrier. They just want the captured vampire back. Robert brings her out by himself on the table. He wakes her back up with a syringe. The vampires take her and leave. The following day, Robert, Anna and Ethan are driving out of New York. They're heading to Vermont and the film ends. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified when another video drops. Thank you and take care.